Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. I don't know whether you're aware, but there are over 100+ languages that are spoken here in the Des Moines area, and holiday traditions are just as diverse. And here to share some of these global-inspired holidays that we're celebrating here in Central Iowa, we have Patricia Grote. She's the Executive Director of the Iowa International Center. And then we also have Tej Dawan, who's the Chief Data Officer over at Principal and this year's Passport to Prosperity honoree. So welcome. Thank you for joining us here this morning.
Thanks for having us.
So first off, let's just talk about the Iowa International Center, because maybe a lot of people aren't really familiar with your organization and what you guys do here in Des Moines.
The Iowa International Center is an 80-year-old organization, and we're really dedicated to cultural understanding. We'd love to see a global community. We do that through offering English language classes. We offer workshops so volunteers can learn how to teach English language. We have an international exchange program and bring about 250 people to Des Moines each year. And we also have Passport to Prosperity, which Tej is part of. For 17 years, we've honored 3 to 5 people, immigrants, refugees, for their contributions to Des Moines. It's really an exciting way to honor people for their accomplishments and to really listen to stories of immigrants and refugees. They're always very touching, a lot of tears as people tell their stories.
Absolutely. But how does this all look around the holidays?
Around the holidays, it is as varied as the 100 languages that are spoken.
That's a surprising number.
Isn't it
I didn't
amazing?
realize it was that high either. I love that.
Right. Des Moines Schools in particular has 100 languages, and as we go a little bit further out into the suburbs, there are a fewer, but a growing number in the suburbs as well.
Wow. So a lot of different things happening for the holidays, but I feel like the focus is still the same for all of us when we think the holidays.
It is. Even for those of us who don't celebrate Christmas, maybe we come from a country where there isn't Christmas, or it's a faith decision, that Christmas holiday season just trickles in. You can talk to parents and they'll say, my child came home talking about Santa Claus and I don't know what Santa Claus is, you know? And so we all weave into what we do a little bit about American holidays.
Absolutely. Talk about the importance of that, just how much we learn from each other through all of these different traditions.
It is amazing. You know, food is a huge thing, and I think Tej will talk about that a little bit more, but it's food, family, fun, it's faith, a lot of those things. So I brought a snowflake in. It's not a very sophisticated thing, but it is something that we worked on as part of an end of the year celebration in our English language class. And this is full of people who haven't spoken English and don't celebrate Christmas. But winter, the solstice, New Year, those things we all celebrate together.
We can all kind of connect.
We do.
Those different
As they say, we're all unique like a snowflake, but we can all come together in the same purpose.
I'll leave this with you.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe Jackie or Michelle, you can wear it.
Oh, it might fit with our...
we're wearing all of our decor today.
We look pretty fabulous, yes. But let's talk about how right now it is all about family time.
Yes. So I have been in Iowa for nearly 32 years, married to somebody who grew up in a tiny town of Lorville, up by Rockwell City in Fort Dodge. So, you know, at the time we were married, Karen and I were surprised at how quickly the community adopted us. I was going to college in Pella, where the Yarsma family was my host parents, and coming from a family which was very faith-based in India. My mom was very religious, through the Yarsmas, who are equally faith-based, and my mother and father-in-law, who you know, basically helped transcend that Hindu to Reformed Church to the Methodist Church. And it's interesting how comfortably it all connected. So within Lorville, my mother-in-law has been a part of something called the Estudo Club, which learns about countries and foods and all of that as a part of their practice. They had done that way long before we met. And so that food and fun trickles in, even into our Christmas celebration. So the whole family will be at our house next week, and there'll be nearly 30 of us around the table from Lorville, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, Urbandale, Bondurant, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Palmdale, California, and even one person from Wisconsin. And it's all okay.
That's amazing.
And people will be a little bit older. One is married out of that group, but it's largely the same same mix. It's
love
those
that.
countries. Food will be slightly different.
Well, I feel like food is brought up quite a bit. Is that something that kind of unifies us, or a way to kind of break the ice of traditions if you feel like you might have differences between one another? Is that a way of like literally breaking
Coming
bread?
together.
It is literally breaking bread. We haven't yet felt the difference in the foods. So whether it's a pho served Christmas Eve alongside a cheesy potato soup, it's okay. We've had that. Honestly, we've had both at
love
the
that.
table, and everyone's just taken a bowl of each, and it's been fun. So food does connect. Food is the necessary element. And food is personal, right? So we personalize, we extend our traditions through whatever we serve, whether it's bread or soup or a bourbon glazed ham.
And I love that
go.
you
I'm coming to your house.
combine them all, and that it's not just focused on the one. And how many homes and families do you kind of, that is what they do? They kind of blend all of the different
I
traditions
think in almost
together.
every family that happens. We have families who are Italian from Italy, and there are some of those traditional foods that they still have, but it's alongside of a bourbon glazed ham. It's not necessarily Italian. So throughout all of our celebrations, it's that food. And Tej's right. It's really that commonality, sitting down and breaking bread. It's the food that makes a difference.
I love that.
Makes our world seem a lot smaller, too.
It does.
that-
What would
that.
you say to us that are, even though this wonderful organization has been around for quite some time, that are still learning about it and realizing we need to reach out more to understand the diversity that we have in our own backyard? What would you say to encourage people to be more a part of that, and then to learn more about the Passport to Prosperity honorees and the incredible individuals we have in our community?
We have very incredible individuals. I think sometimes it's just looking up from where you are and look around you and see what's going on, who's making a difference in our community, who's living in our community. We all tend to be a little bit isolated when we're busy, little heads down.
Absolutely.
Right, so
Talk a little bit more about that Passport to Prosperity and kind of how that works.
Yeah, it's really quite a great celebration. We take nominations of people. There are very few requirements. You have to be in Iowa for 5 years. That's basically the only requirement. People are nominated by their peers or people they know and get letters of recommendation. We do this in about May. And by June, we have people. Over the last 3 years that I've been with Iowa International Center, we've seen the number of nominations grow. So there were almost 20 last year. So we had to be very selective. It was really hard. I really wanted every person's story to be told. Sometimes people come from Mexico and they've crossed illegally multiple times until they've been able to stay here. And are now citizens. Sometimes they come from India and have gone to school like Tej does. Sometimes they have totally different stories where they have mythical backgrounds, and it's just part of their culture and part of their life. And we get to hear all about those stories.
And part of the celebration is the recognition that Iowa accepted
That's right.
has accepted immigrants since its birth, right? I mean, it's the countries with focus shift, but since its birth, immigrants have been accepted into the state. And when I was uncomfortable with receiving that recognition, Suku Radia at Bankers Trust told me, this has nothing to do with you. It is a celebration of the community that has been open with its arms, heart, everything else to plug you in. So this is now your responsibility to continue the tradition that your predecessors had in this state for decades before. So it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the larger community.
And what an
That's
incredible
beautiful.
representation of Suku Radia. It was just an amazing individual in our community. All right, so it sounds like if people want to learn more beyond the holidays, hopefully you're breaking bread with someone new in your community or your family, but iowainternationalcenter.org. And it sounds like if you want to get involved, maybe volunteer,
Yes.
there's opportunities.
Absolutely. We have many opportunities to volunteer. One of our most popular is to host our international visitors for dinner.
I love that.
Yeah, our visitors come for 3 days to 15 days, and you can have them in your home. And you can serve whatever food you'd like. And it's really, again, about sitting
Learn
around the
from each
table.
other.
There's such commonality. We have hosts who have been doing it for years, and they travel the world, and they have someone everywhere that they can stay with
they can
and
connect with.
or have a meal with.
I love that. Well, thank you both.
IowaInternationalCenter.org.
Yeah, thank
to
you for
learn
opening
more.
our
Yes,
eyes
thank you.
to the wonderful things
Thanks
we
for
can be
having
doing
us.
Thank you
on
for
the
sharing your
holidays
traditions
and
and
beyond.
your beautiful family with all of us.
All right, you're watching Iowa Live here on CWI with 23. We are going to finish up this first hour.